Hey everybody, welcome to the Star Wars Rebels After Show here on AfterBuzz TV, Season 3, Episode 19, Double Agent Droid. You might think that that would lead us to start with the song Secret Agent Man, but we found something a little bit more appropriate, which you'll hear in just a moment, and we'll be breaking down the episode after the break.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
This was just the most glorious thing that's ever happened in Star Wars ever, I think, possibly for me as somebody with a very rich musical theater background.
Implied musical number and then actual musical number.
I know, well, and
oh my God.
And also, like, in the midst of this anything you can do, I can do better spat between Chopper and AP5, there were moments where Stephen Stanton was kind of singing the melody of the song, and it was
you can't.
glorious.
Thank you, Stephen Stanton.
Yes.
You were amazing.
Yes. Oh, man.
Day made.
And
Most of the chat says happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, it is my birthday today, so thanks for joining us here on the Star Wars Rebels After Show. For everybody who is watching live, thanks for hanging out with me on my birthday. If you are watching though, remember to also go over to iTunes, subscribe, leave reviews, all that good stuff. And if you're listening on iTunes, remember it's always a really fun time hanging out with us in the live chat when we stream live at 8 o'clock p.m. on Sunday nights. That is Pacific time, but of course you can also watch us after the fact, so you can relive all the glory that is us physically being in this studio talking about Star Wars Rebels. Also joining me for my little on-air birthday party tonight, we have Katie Cullen.
Hi, all my buddies. You can find me on Twitter at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet.
Megan Salinas.
Hey guys, you can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin.
And Joelle Monique.
Hey guys, I'm Joelle Monique. You find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique and every week at blackgirlnerds.com.
And I'm Emma Fyffe. I can be found all over the internet wherever Emma Fyffes are sold at my name, Emma Fyffe, EMMAFYFFE. And remember, you can also tweet at all of us using that hashtag ABTVRebels to let us know what you think about the show throughout the episode, throughout the week, throughout your lives. We love that hashtag in general, and we love seeing what you guys leave in there. So I have to, this episode. What was this? This was a gift. This was a gift. It was specifically made for me on so many levels. And like, I know that they animate all of the, they record these episodes so far in the past because animation takes a long time. But it legit felt like they had been watching our after show this whole season, and they wrote an episode specifically to address some, not even issues that we had with the show, just like some
desires.
My continual inchoate shrieking about how droids aren't people and therefore go unnoticed, and that's why Chopper continually gets in under the wire. That.
And the fact that, like, literally every time they paint Chopper as an Imperial droid, he looks more or less the same. And also, he's Chopper. He's a droid with a very strong attitude, and yet nobody ever knows who Chopper is. But I love that they straight up called out the fact that they're like, yeah, the Empire doesn't think droids are people. They just, they don't think they're capable of independent thought.
From an ex-Empire droid.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
That's the only reason he gets away with it. Like,
I can't believe I'm the
kidding.
same model as that Imperial drone.
I know. And that first moment in the episode, too, where, Zeb is confronting Hera about, like, oh, real crackerjack team you're sending out there, Wedge Antilles and these two droids. And Wedge is, like, so excited. He's like, yeah, I'm going on this mission. We're going to go steal these Imperial codes. And, like, exactly. We're going to plan our route to Lothal. It's going to be awesome. I'm flying the droids there. I'm so important and cool. And then immediately Chopper and AP5 get into this anything you can do
And they're
battle.
in the back seat.
Oh,
They're like, don't make me turn this around.
Yes. And he's like, I understand why they sent me on this mission now. Nobody else wants to hang out with these droids.
Suddenly it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh God, I am the low man on the totem pole.
One of the writers on the show, Brent Friedman, he's been retweeting a bunch of stuff about this episode. One thing that he retweeted was somebody sending him, the best kind of storytelling is the kind that gives you what you didn't know you wanted.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, and Dave Filoni said something about this episode too, where he was like, nah, all these people are going to call it filler, I get it, but I can't write serious Obi-Wan stuff all the time.
I will challenge anyone about because I always find the droid episodes to be 50-50 for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, sometimes they definitely do feel like you're like, just get back to the story that I missed.
Right.
But you address so many points that you've brought up. The conversation AP5 has with them where he's like, yes, and I think that this could be trouble. And I don't know who comes in after him, but says the exact same words. And suddenly can be heard.
Oh, it's Hera.
Yeah. And he's like, I was just saying that.
I've been saying it repeatedly.
Yeah.
And it was fun watching this play out because I hesitate to use the word contrivances,
right.
but it kind of had to be because Chopper had to be alone. AP5 had to be the person to realize that it was a problem because everyone would think he was griping. Wedge had to be the pilot because any other pilot would have known immediately that's a problem. Chopper had to be off screen when Hera called in because she would have known right away. Like, we had to have this, it was almost a Xanatos gambit in that everything had to play out perfectly for it to happen the way it did.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad because stuff like that happens in real life all the time.
It's
like,
super
oh, you just
true.
missed this person. Oh, this just happened. Like, yeah.
Things like that sometimes that's just the way life works out.
Yeah, like all the cards just fell in the exact right place for this episode to play out in a way that, and I'm not like...
That it was a full 22 minutes and not 5.
Agreed, no, completely. And also on top of that, it's like, it was so fun to see an episode of Star Wars that was so self-aware. You know what I mean? Like, that again was calling out all of those things like, guys... It is literally completely improbable that Chopper would be able to constantly disguise himself as an Imperial droid and get away with it. But then they bring up, oh no, only Thrawn cares about it. So now finally, like, his cover is blown because he basically sends the information forward to the Imperial listeners that are kind of specifically for tracking the droids, most likely.
But were the listeners able to pass it on is the question.
I don't know.
I don't think they were
don't think
because
so
they were
either.
still in the middle of downloading when Hera reversed the polarity of the neutron
Oh my god,
flow.
and she basically, and like at
That's
first,
what it was.
and at first I thought, I was like,
good.
oh, Hera is, okay, cool. She's like, oh, don't mess with my droid. And I loved her, like, calling them out.
Yeah.
Once she realized that Chopper had been hacked, and as you say, she basically reversed the polarity on them. And she's like, by the way, your data core, dead. Also, all of you, dead.
That's extremely violent
I
death.
know.
Very violent on-screen death for this show. Usually if the deaths are going to be violent, we cut away from the fact that 2 guys literally just got beheaded.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Or when Darth Maul killed the 7th sister, you know, it's usually in an off-screen manner when somebody dies.
We didn't
Not this
see
time.
them. We didn't see them explode, like physically explode, but we definitely saw the chain lightning go off.
We
and
saw
that was
the whites of their eyes. It's like their brains were being fried.
Yeah, this was a really violent death.
But they messed with her droid.
That's
And
true.
Not only is he just like a droid or a childhood toy that she put together, like this was probably her first friend in a time when, you know, her family
time of war.
in her time
Well,
of
and
war,
then she
her family
also, again,
relationships.
was not connecting with her family. So, I mean, Chopper is extremely important to Hera. He's the one person that, like, she's the one person, rather, that, like, he legitimately is friends. So, you know what
And
I mean?
like, he listens to her.
Yeah.
Like, if she says do something, Chopper's like, yeah, I'm on it. And I think this kind of has me readdressing like Hera's worldview as well, because I think to her, Chopper is a person.
Yeah.
Like, the Chopper is for sure
absolutely.
not a droid to Hera. But every AP5 is definitely a droid to her, and I think it's gonna be interesting
know.
watching. I feel really bad for AP5 now.
I know.
He's trying so hard, and he does have a lot of interesting things. Like when he's a couple episodes ago, he's calculating the all their stuff, and he's like, "There's things missing." Everyone's like, "Oh, AP5."
Yeah.
He's like, "This is important, and this is like pivotal to the plot."
And he was, like, not wrong also when he's like, well, one of us did the work, and I could have done this mission on my
he
own.
probably could have thrown himself there.
Let
Taking
all of us go for the full-on Alan Rickman
You
for
can't
this.
help it. I love AP5, you guys.
I do too.
Oh no, he's great.
Well, and the other thing too is like you actually see him being tactful about the fact that Chopper is acting really weird, because he doesn't just immediately go, you've been compromised. Like he waits, like he fishes around a little bit. He's like, that's not a code that we use. It's a code that Imperials use. And
yeah, again, like the writing in this episode was so good and specific. Because it wasn't like they just suddenly made Chopper all like rainbows and sunshine. It was a collection of clues that made AP5 go, okay, this isn't right.
He was
also
acting like a standard Imperial droid to the point of using an Imperial code. Because to the collectors, this is the listeners rather. I'm sorry.
The listeners,
This is what droids are. This is what they act like. They just happen to take over the one with a personality.
I know.
Well, I found it super interesting that the listeners, like, there was no adjusting for tone at all with them. And, like, I thought it was great. I feel like, and we've seen it in previous seasons where sometimes the show gets a little expository and they're kind of saying, like, and this is what we're doing now to hopefully get this. But they let the listener be quiet. And you could just see in the way that he had Chopper respond to the situation what his thought process was. And I thought that was so beautiful.
Yeah, it was so much more interesting that way. And again, it's that really good use of visual storytelling, which is something that you have an advantage with, especially with something animated like Star Wars Rebels. Like, it's all visuals. Yeah. So, yeah, again, as you say, Joel, it was a really nice shortcut to, like, tell the story they wanted to tell without going into too much exposition.
Was anyone else super interested in the listener after that?
Yes!
I was like, this is a really full, like, fleshed out character.
By the way,
freaking Borg.
I thought they were a little, okay, so I was, they talked a little bit about the listeners on the episode of Rebels Recon, where basically, it's something we've seen before in Star Wars Rebels because SIBO had that, like, headset thing on, and basically listeners are people who, like, give up a certain amount of autonomy to be, like, linked into the Borg and be linked into sort of like the Imperial information system, which to me was a little bit like Sasuke in X, the Clamp manga, and Beast, who basically, like, she is literally like linked into a computer. It's a supercomputer that's like linked into all things, every, like, computer, internet, line of communication. And
it's like if you had to be lobotomized to use Cerebro.
Yeah.
But like,
which you kind of do.
On the one hand, like, being connected to the internet sounds really cool. Like, oh wow, the possibilities. But they're only connected to the Imperial internet.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's an Imperial Facebook or like Imperial YouTube.
Reddit's blocked. Right. Reddit is absolutely blocked by the Imperial firewall.
100%.
There's no YouTube.
So is Tumblr.
You're not going to be streaming in your downtime at this job.
No. Well, and you know who the voice of that listener was? Josh Gad.
Oh!
That's right.
I was like, I know this voice. Okay,
Yes.
Does anyone think that the listeners would have been really good golf commentators?
Yes.
Like, and now we can use the droid to
It's so
calm.
to get our plans home to here.
Yeah, they were very calm. It's kind of like
golf claps.
being connected to the Imperial information system, like, really did, like, take away some of their personality.
You have to be sedated to have that much information go through your brain.
Yeah,
Otherwise
totally.
you go nuts.
Also, how often are they leaving this room? Like, I feel like they
Never.
just slowly just die as a person.
For me, the creepy thing about them wasn't necessarily that, like, the monotone that they all took. It's that they all had the exact same monotone.
Yes.
Like, when they're all speaking at that level, where it's just like, it's so unsettling because it's like, you know that their humanity has been ripped out of them when you hear them all speaking exactly the same.
It was Borg.
Yeah.
Resistance is futile.
It was. And it was such an interesting sort of juxtaposition to AP5 getting to, like, have a little more fun and emotion in this episode than we've necessarily seen from him.
That's a really great point because the human antagonists in here, they've had their personality stripped from them, and our focus is on droids who have so much personality. Man, love me my sassy Star Wars robot.
I know, and I did love when he
good.
encountered the other what's it called?
AP5 drone.
Yeah, the other
Oh,
the other like inventory droid. That's what he is. He's an inventory droid.
Was that her name?
Something like that. And he was like, I can't believe that we're the same prototype. It's so good.
And she just absolutely bought the information like, oh, yep, you've been replaced. I'm your replacement. Sounds legit.
I know.
Gotta go.
And then
Okay.
Poor AP5, who was essential to the crew of the Ghost surviving this episode, because basically the Imperials use Chopper to lock them in the cargo hold with the
And
intent...
then try to eject them.
Exactly, with the intent of ejecting them. And so
Scary.
then, like, AP5 goes to the outside of the ship to manually open the door. And then none of them notice that he's just gone careening up into space. That moment where Ezra was like, yeah, AP5, we really have to thank him for this.
Where'd
By the way,
he go?
where
Yeah, that
is
was
he?
a great line read from him too. Like, yay, AB5! Where is he? Where
And
did
just
he
the
go?
fact that AB5 is floating in space, like, for the first time, I'm happy, and actually singing, and then, no, go away! Ka-dunk, ka-dunk, ka-dunk.
Yeah, I think my favorite bit of that was just the audible clank
Clang.
you hear when he is brought back into the ship.
Oh, it was
Oh my
so
God,
funny.
it was
and
so great.
And the fact that it was like they started the episode with a musical reference.
Oh,
yes.
And then in the end, he legitimately sang. Like, and apparently,
happy.
like, he got the script for that. It was in the script. And he's like, is this really gonna happen? I'm gonna sing.
In my robot
I'm gonna
voice.
just sing in this robot voice. And Dave Filoni was like, yeah.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah,
I have faith in
definitely.
you. And it was amazing. It paid off. Like the comedic timing of the show. I feel like next week's gonna be so like I'm excited for it. It's gonna be
I know,
really
but
heavy.
it's gonna be heavy.
And so
Yeah.
I'm glad we got this like a Mouge booth of like a nice comedic light episode that gives us a lot of character depth and explanation.
Absolutely.
And still pushes the story forward. Like kudos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, wow, words, structure. I can do life good. This is our little calm before the storm.
Yeah.
And I cut a lot of this growing up on anime, watching your 26 episode series and going, okay, I know the end game's gonna happen soon. I know we're going into this episode of Slayers is all about this Sentai crew whose heyday was 30 years ago, and now, oh my god, this is
So good.
hilarious. This is episode 21, and we have 5 left. And then the next 5 episodes
Yep.
are like, oh god.
Yep.
So that's where we are now.
Yeah.
We're at that point of, you guys need a laugh.
Yep.
We all need a moment to kind of
You
step
need-
back and breathe.
you need-
and next episode, you're gonna die.
You need singing droids.
Absolutely.
You need Chopper being nice, which is weird and terrifying.
Scary.
You
You need AP5 following Wedge into the refresher.
Yeah, you need the. And that's exactly what I
You
was
need
gonna
the bathroom
say. You need the
humor.
word refresher to become canon. That apparently is actually from some of the EU novels used the term the refresher to refer to the
really?
loo. And now, hey guys, it's canon.
Amazing.
Mitch Hedberg joke about naming appliances?
Yep.
What does this do? It keeps things fresh. It's a fresher! I'm going on break.
Yep, there you go.
That's what it is.
So again, yeah, just really, really fun episode all around. That
yeah.
was definitely not pointless. It was the
Yeah.
best kind of filler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you skip this episode and still know what's going on?
Sure.
Yeah, of course you could. But should you? No, it was
Same-
amazing.
Same gentleman.
Really appreciate is if the whole thing about, hey, we had, wow, God. Thrawn put out a thing on this droid. If that comes up again this season, if he gets caught again this season, I will be very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. To the point of it being filler, Brent Friedman, same gentleman I mentioned before, to all Rebels, he put out a tweet before the episode aired saying, to all Rebels fans who are calling this episode filler, remember that the cream filling is the best part of a Twinkie. So I think he hit the nail on the head.
I totally agree. And with that, let's swing into some predictions because the next episode is definitely not the cream of the Twinkie.
No, it is the whole Twinkie. It is.
We do have
yeah.
2
I know.
Okay.
AfterBuzz TV.
Oh God, we're all gonna die.
Yeah. I mean, the next episode is entitled Twin Sons.
It's a two-parter.
So guys,
It's a two-parter.
are we gonna see Luke?
No, I hope not.
Like in the
Like
background
distant,
somewhere.
fine. That I'd be fine with that.
He just drives by
Yeah.
on his way to Tashi
Yeah,
Station.
no, we certainly don't want him involved in anything. But I think it'd be hilarious if, he was just on his way.
I would really like him
running errands
to
or
observe a
something.
fight and like for Ezra to like sheathe his saber like right before Luke like stumbles into this fight. He's like, oh, it's just another day here. Like it's crazy, and then he's off and be like, you were so close to finding out about Jedi.
This cantina really is
I
a
just-
hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah, my heart lives for these moments of, oh, it could have been so different, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Cue up rolling in the deep.
That's
We could have
true.
had it all.
Exactly.
Yeah, I didn't mean to have
exactly.
such a strong reaction to like. No, I don't want to see Luke, but like,
Well,
I know Luke's story. I want to hear. I want to know
Everyone
these people's
else's.
story.
Well,
Yeah.
because the thing thing that we need resolved, of course, is Obi-Wan
Yeah.
and Darth Maul. That's what we need.
Right.
And so, yeah, whether or not, like, I feel like this just ends really
Does
poorly
anyone,
for
has anyone
Darth
else?
Maul.
I feel like I've been waiting for this storyline since Clone Wars ended.
Yes.
Since Clone Wars ended and we didn't get a resolution, I have been like, well, how does that? This relationship is not just tumultuous, but it's
No.
kind of, they pushed each other so much to become the people they are today. I cannot wait for next week. I feel like I'm pins and
And
needles.
it's not, and it wasn't done. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
resolved in Clone Wars. Like you said, it's like, you know, Obi-Wan sort of killed Darth Maul in the first place, and then they confronted each other multiple times during Clone Wars, and so it's like...
And Maul killed the Duchess, and
Yeah.
And here's my question, though, because, like, from the outset, my immediate prediction is that they're going to clash, and Obi-Wan is going to kill Maul, and that's the end of Maul's story.
Right, well, because we know Obi-Wan's not going to die.
Yeah.
What I think would be potentially more interesting is actually a forgiveness angle. Like,
Yeah.
is it possible to bury the hatchet?
Emma said, yeah, that could happen, but I
Nah,
don't want
it's
it.
not.
And then Maul shows up in episode 8.
But
Like, I've been in the background the whole time. We were just talking about this, and then I've been hiding in a planet for a while.
I'm
Yes.
But I'm back.
I just,
do
these
this.
writers are so good and so smart that I'm wondering if, like, that's not at least going to come up of, like, the
Yeah.
possibility of being able to let go and move on.
I definitely don't think it's going to be super cut and dry. It's not going to be just like Maul shows up and Obi-Wan kills him. Like, this is gonna go for a little while.
It
Yeah.
was kind of historic for Obi-Wan because we don't know a lot about his development between
Yeah.
like
Being a
post Order
hermit,
66 and then like the reviving of the Jedi Order. Like there's a like what were you thinking about? Like it's a long time.
Yes.
You've lost so many people. Like
Yep.
your apprentices just out in the world, God
Yep.
knows where. Like I'm so excited to see what he's doing, what his mental state is. I do want to forgive this episode, but I think that because Maul has been on this track of just
Well,
batshit
hatred and
bananas.
revenge is the only thing he has left.
Yeah, I mean, he's so
Yeah.
consumed by darkness, and he's been on this journey for so long. I can't see him having a peaceful. I kind of wouldn't mind seeing it, but I don't see how you resolve him peacefully.
I can see Obi-Wan forgiving Maul.
Oh, sure.
And Maul refusing to stop until one of them is dead.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's
Yeah.
that. There's that.
This is why we need those Obi-Wan movies, the What Was Obi-Wan Doing on Tatooine movies. Ewan McGregor said he wanted to do it. He's the right age for it. Make him.
I'm here for it.
An hour and a half of moisture farming.
Yeah.
All these Imperial people showing up and Obi-Wan fighting him off, and Luke never finds out. This is the most boring planet, and everyone else is like, we sent more people to Tatooine. Where did they go?
Darth Maul is like asking people all around Tatooine about Obi-Wan Kenobi, and somebody's like, "Do you think he means old Ben?"
I don't think so. I mean, we have like 10 people here named Smith, and none of them are the same species, so I don't think he's really. It could be someone else completely. You can't judge by name.
Before we wrap things up here, just want to give a couple shout outs to people who left iTunes reviews. We're running short on time, so a shout out to Torres Graphics, who very specifically mentioned the fact that they liked that this show had all women on it for the most part. And it's nice to see ladies talking about sci-fi and gives ladies hope that there will be more of that
yeah.
on the internet,
Love
which is
you
what we
guys.
strive for. And then also to that's from Torres Graphics, and then also awesome exclamation points from Etienne one. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. I assumed it was French. If you guys leave us iTunes reviews, it makes us look good. It boosts our rating, our rankings in the iTunes store. So when you search for Star Wars Rebels in the podcast section, we come up more quickly. It's all around a good thing. So if you are an iTunes user, please leave us those reviews. Remember, if you do not leave a review in the American iTunes store, we will not see it. So just take a screen cap out of it, tweet it at us, use that hashtag ABTV Rebels, and we will see it and also be able to give you shout outs that you deserve.
That includes the Google Play podcast
Yes,
review.
yes. So anything that is not in the US of A, I'm sorry, they make it very difficult for us to find it.
It still counts, though.
It does. It totally counts. So do the thing and leave the reviews and stuff. And thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the Star Wars Rebels After Show. That was also my birthday episode.
Happy
So,
birthday!
yes. Thank you, Megan and Katie, for giving me this beautiful little cake situation.
It's gorgeous.
If you guys don't know, I'm a big Sailor Moon fan, and Sailor Venus is my favorite, so they put her on this really lovely looking cake that I plan to consume, not after this show, but after the Bob's Burgers after show, which we've got to wrap up and get in this studio. So, Katie, where can people find you on the internet?
Hi, my buddies. You can find me on all of the social medias and YouTube at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. Arrow is back. We are back on the Ides of March. It's gonna be
Yes.
nuts. Tune in for that one.
Megan Salinas.
Hey guys, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. I am also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz, and I write articles for The Movie Chick. That's Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out.
Joelle Monique.
Hey guys, I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique, every week at blackgirlnerds.com. Here at AfterBuzz Wednesdays, where I do The Magicians. Thursdays, doing Powerless and Riverdale, which is amazing. Definitely check it out. Also, I did Power Rangers reviews, so it should be up tomorrow on Black Girl Nerds. So check out my thoughts on the new Power Rangers movie.
And I am Emma Fyffe. I can be found all over the internet at my name, Emma Fyffe, EMA. I just took an M out of my name, guys. No, there's definitely 2 M's in it. EMMAFYFFE. Also, be sure to check out the team competition of the Movie Trivia Schmodown over on Collider Video on Tuesday, when Joelle Monique and myself will be taking on Team Action.
Yes, as
which
the
is-
Night Sisters.
Yes, they are Andrew Guy and Ben Bateman of the Action Movie Anatomy, which happens on our sister network here, the Popcorn Talk. Also check out Pencils and Parsecs. It is a Star Wars RPG that I play over on twitch.tv/hyperrpg every single Friday night at 9 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. It's great. If you guys like Star Wars, and you do, you should watch it. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Again, you can keep talking to us throughout the week using that hashtag ABTVRebels, and we will be back next week talking about Twin Sides. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.